These light pulse glasses from 1993 are flashing light through my eyelids in perfect combination with synthesized sound frequencies to generate brainwave patterns through a process known as entrainment. And the company who promised to deliver this mind power breakthrough found itself at the center of not one, not two, but 20 lawsuits. The Zygon SuperMind brainwave synchronizer and its behavioral mind scripts cassette tapes promise to fulfill virtually every human desire. You could learn a foreign language, become a better public speaker, combat illness, lose weight, quit smoking, experience the afterlife, and even transform into a whale. What began as a peek into a curious relic of 90s tech snowballed into uncovering a top-secret government psychic project called Stargate, wearing glasses that made me feel like I was getting the Ludovico technique from A Clockwork Orange, and chronicling one man's desire to power up everyone's brains. Because the most surprising thing about this oddity from the past is that Zygon is back and ready to make you into a mind warrior right now. If you flipped open the pages of Popular Science in the mid-90s, you were bound to stumble upon one of the most consistently advertised products at the time: Mind Power Breakthrough, Learning Machine Breakthrough. You'd have seen a picture of a woman wearing dark sunglasses with images of the beach or a shuttle launching inside, and an offer for $600 worth of free mindwear. What is mindwear? The bottom of the ad highlights the $500 mindwear bonus pack and $100 of mind-lifting moodscapes for free. The bolded subheadings include a vacation in 20 minutes, boost brain power, speak French, Spanish, German, and Italian overnight, and 3 fantastic mind journeys. What is this thing? No, seriously, what is this thing? The first shock was discovering how expensive it is on eBay. I've done several retro tech videos on forgotten gadgets that no one really wants anymore. You can pick up a brand new Interactor or a DirectEd Plus for about $25. A complete Zygon SuperMind is 10 times that. I had to pay $283.45 for my kit, and you can see a mint condition unit listed for $399. It's proof that there's still a market for 30-year-old brainwave synchronizers. But what does the SuperMind even do? The setup consists of the brainwave synchronizer computer and the light pulse glasses, which you use with your own headphones and cassette tape player. Everything gets plugged into the brainwave synchronizer, which allows you to choose from a list of programs designed to create specific brainwave states through a process called brainwave entrainment. The entrainment process consists of using a rhythm of external stimuli like flickering lights, music, or tactile stimuli that synchronize brainwaves to induce a highly specific mental state. The SuperMind is capable of achieving 4 different levels. Beta is measured in 14 to 16 cycles per second and is a waking conscious state. Alpha is 8 to 13 CPS and is a relaxed but alert state. Theta is 4 to 8 CPS and is related to creativity and dreaming. And Delta 0 to 4 CPS is the deepest stage of sleep. So the SuperMind is built to place your mind in the ideal state for your intended goal, whether you're hoping to learn a new language, become a better salesman, or go on a meditative journey. The programs range in duration from 7 minutes for a quick charge of your mental acuity to 60 minutes for super delta meditation. I just wanted to expand my mind a little and experience some deep restorative relaxation. Instead, I got tortured. Let me explain what's going on here. Cetacean Mind Link is part of the Fantastic Journeys Moodscape series alongside Near Death Experience and Aboriginal Dreamtime. These are 30-minute programs meant to trigger a theta brainwave state to inspire vivid mental imagery. These do appear to work well for some people, and I'll get to that later. People who feel like they're floating with dolphins or achieving enlightenment in the ancient Australian outback. But to me, no, definitely not. To me, they sound almost scary. Listen to this sample of Cetacean Mind Link and tell me it doesn't sound like an oceanic horror soundtrack. Now pair half an hour of that sound with relentless, blisteringly fast flashing red lights right on top of your eyeballs. Obviously, you have to close your eyes while wearing the SuperMind light pulse glasses, and there's also a protective red plastic covering over the lights inside. But I actually bought a second pair, which interestingly have no branding on the front, and the inner shield is missing. This allows us to see under the hood at the two pairs of red LEDs which do the pulsing. Although the camera can pick up the LEDs flickering, this in no way replicates the experience of having these flashing lights maniacally assaulting your eyelids. So I'm gonna simulate what it looks like and pair that visual with the bone-chilling audio from the near-death experience moodscape. I also need to provide a serious warning. The following flashing lights may cause discomfort or seizures for those with photosensitive epilepsy. Viewer discretion is advised. Please skip to this time code to avoid viewing the flashing lights. I'll give you time to skip ahead if you need to. Okay, here we go. How did you like that? I found it impossible to handle. I could only sit through a few minutes before I turned it off. It makes sense that when you're trying to technologically synchronize brainwaves to induce a particular mental state, it's going to require some extreme measures. I put the glasses on my wife and she ripped them off after 5 seconds. Zygon founder and CEO Dane Spotts admitted some people have this reaction. In episode 4 of The Zygon Story in his Mind Warrior Project podcast, Dane said that some people...
And they would take their cassette or their headphones off and throw them at the wall. So there's a small percentage of people that have difficulty with this, and that's because their conscious mind rejects it. And so what they're doing is it's almost like they're fighting the transformation process.
I honestly felt like I was fighting for my own sanity. While I love to cover retro tech, there's actually something new I'm happy to partner with on this video. It's an answer engine, not a search engine, called Perplexity. Unlike traditional search engines, it doesn't spit back a list of links for you to dig through. Instead, it skips straight to the answers you need, explained in everyday language with sources. This is a game changer for shopping. Let me show you. I'm looking to upgrade the capture device for my VCRs, and you can see the answer includes a breakdown of key features, prices, and compatibility with the sources listed at the top. Then you can scroll down through the products, including review scores and some pros and cons. If you click all products, it gives you a more detailed view of the answers to compare and contrast, and then with Perplexity Pro, you can buy what you want with one click and free shipping. This massively streamlines the journey of finding what you're looking for, whether it's a Hello Kitty keyboard for your wife or the best noise-canceling earbuds for running. So thanks to Perplexity for sponsoring this video, and check it out for all your holiday or personal shopping. Just use the QR code on screen or click the link in the description below. Thanks. Interestingly, the testimonial quote on the back of the box is actually from Dane Spotts himself, declaring, "This has to be the closest thing there is to what we saw Arnold Schwarzenegger experience in the science fiction movie Total Recall." And that's just the moodscapes, which are supposed to be enlightening brain adventures. I haven't even gotten into the behavior mind scripts that are literally meant to change your life. They're designed to entrain your brain into becoming a sales superstar, gaining a super memory, and making lots of money. But before I demonstrate behavior scripts, I wanted to find out what happened to SuperMind. How popular was it? What happened to the company? Why was it all over popular science 30 years ago, then seemingly disappeared for decades until now? What I found was lawsuits. A lot of them. Zygon International faced an onslaught of false advertising lawsuits over claims they made about their devices. SuperMind is a pretty nebulous and, frankly, really cool name for a piece of tech, but their 1994 follow-up device, which used CDs instead of cassette tapes, was named something perfectly direct: the learning machine. The learning discs promise to teach you everything from beginner Spanish, attracting wealth, better time management and organization, super memory, quick energy, creativity and problem solving, health and healing powers, eliminating fear and anxiety, and even expanding psychic powers. More on that later. But these claims were so serious that the FTC got involved, ordering Zygon to cease and desist from representing that the use of such a product can or will have any effect on a person's health or that they can help the user quit smoking. They were also ordered to pay up to $195,000 in refunds to customers, which never would have happened if they had marketed the thing for relaxation, as Napa County District Attorney Darrell Roberts suggested in a 1996 edition of the San Francisco Examiner. But that's not all. Zygon was involved in 20 different suits on their home turf of Kings County, Washington alone, ranging from commercial suits all the way down to tax warrants. As a result, Zygon stopped selling the learning machine and the company ultimately shut down. Dane Spotts pivoted to his work with his other company called SciTech, and that was that. But some people really loved Zygon's brain synchronization machines. Swabby429 wrote a retrospective on his experience with the learning machine in March of 2011 on Blue Jay blog. He described this surprisingly elaborate and classy packaging of the device that included a styrofoam statue head to display the unit on. Other than an annoying high-pitched whine when he first booted up the system, he said, "Sweet, so far so good." After trying out the French CD and sampling a few others, Swabby found himself using the learning machine every day. He had no intention of sending the device back because he simply just liked it a lot. And for him, it really did seem to be a success. He even admits that he noticed an altered consciousness after using it. And he wasn't alone either. The comments on just this blog are filled with people just like him with extremely fond memories of the device. But it was impossible for Zygon to overcome the legal troubles. There were also a lot of skeptics, including a scathing SuperMind critique by John Margolis in the 1992 Chicago Tribune, who referred to Dane Spotts as a high-tech snake oil salesman.
And then the decision was made to shut the company down.
Right. Any company, anybody that does innovative new stuff is always under attack.
Wait, so who is Dane Spotts? How did he even start SuperMind, and what is SciTech? This retro future device meant to give me the answers to all of life's questions just ended up raising a lot more questions. Dane Spotts has dedicated his life to nothing less than making your life better, and he means it. When Dane was in his 20s, he moved to Southern California and began to experiment with sensory deprivation tanks, a process in which you're sealed inside a pitch-dark chamber filled with salt water, completely cut off from all your senses.
So I actually had what they call a samadhi experience. I was in for 3 hours, but it felt like 10 minutes. I felt like I was connected to God and that I had the answers to every single question I'd ever asked.
Dane's eyes were open to an entirely new way of thinking, and it's a high he's been chasing the rest of his life, and then he had a breakthrough. On his journey of personal development, he discovered that he could create a similar effect to his samadhi experience when listening to certain forms of music while meditating. So he hopped into a recording studio and made his own.
I went into a studio and I experimented with sound phasing certain frequencies and working with harmonics. And to make a long story short, came up with a matrix that replicated closely a very deep meditation and the experience like I had in the sensory deprivation tanks.
Dane gave out his cassettes to a few of his friends, and after most of them reported back having achieved
Amazingly deep relaxation and altered states phenomenon,
he decided that he would take it to the masses. And in 1986, Zygon International was born. Not to be confused with the cone-shaped sucker-covered aliens from Doctor Who, the word Zygon is actually Greek, meaning to yoke or to join. It's really about the union of two things to create a third. It's where we got the word zygote in terms of human reproduction. In the case of Dane's company, though, Zygon really means the union of science and spirituality to create a new paradigm or belief system. He wanted everyone to power up their brains, and he specifically targeted what he called mind warriors, or
the person who embraces the idea that mind is at the core of everything.
he describes walking the path of the mind warrior like being a Jedi Knight. In 1989, Dane filed a patent for the very first Zygon machine, the Brain Supercharger. Like the SuperMind, the Brain Supercharger used pre-recorded audio cassette tapes featuring self-improvement topics, and he had a list of classifications ranging from scientific to nautical, all the way down to life-saving. In 1993, Zygon released SuperMind for $299.95 plus $15 shipping, or the equivalent of about $700 today. And in 1994, the Learning Machine debuted at the same price point. At its peak, Zygon claimed to be raking in a whopping $50 million a year. And then there was Dane's Psychic Powers Company, based on top-secret government research. In the summer of 2000, Dane purchased a company called Psytech, which ratcheted up the idea of being like Jedi Knights by pretty much trying to use the Force. Psytech was founded in 1989 by Ed Dames, who might have been a 4-star general and DIA intelligence officer, or he might not have been. Who knows? But Psytech specializes in remote viewing. What is remote viewing? The CIA defines it as the ability to describe locations one has not visited. So it's being able to see a place that you aren't from where you are by using nothing but the power of your mind. Remote viewing was actually the basis for an episode of X-Files called Mind's Eye, in which a blind woman has visions of an active killer on the loose, and if you've ever seen the movie The Men Who Stare at Goats, you get the idea. The CIA had a program dedicated to studying the phenomenon during the Cold War called the Stargate Project, which Ed Dames claims to have worked on. Which is exactly where his claims to being a psionic spy get a little hazy, since the military doesn't publish organizational charts of their classified projects. There's no way to know who actually worked on them. The Stargate Project was ended in 1995, and a 178-page CIA report declassified in 2002 titled An Evaluation of the Remote Viewing Program, Research and Operational Applications basically says nothing useful came out of it. It summarizes the program by stating, "We conclude that continued use of remote viewing in intelligence gathering operations is not warranted." The very concept of remote viewing had some very famous detractors, including recreational math legend Martin Gardner, whose work I've featured on Vsauce 2. Gardner noted the link between founding remote viewing researcher Harold Puthoff and the Church of Scientology in his 2000 book on pseudoscience, Did Adam and Eve Have Navels? The implication being that remote viewing was rooted in religion instead of science. The remote viewing tests were things like trying to mentally see what was on a series of photographs while another person tried to tell them telepathically, which seems very similar to the ESP testing scene in 1984's Ghostbusters, where Peter Venkman lies to an attractive woman about her uncanny ability to guess the symbols on cards in order to secure a date with her. Anyway, Ed Dames left the Army and went on to start SciTech to focus on remote viewing, now calling it Technical Remote Viewing, or TRV for short. The goal was to offer remote viewing services to their clients, the first of which supposedly was the Defense Department, with whom they apparently helped gather intelligence for the Gulf War. And SciTech only got more ambitious after Dane Spotts got in the mix, because Dane wanted to bring TRV to everyone. It wasn't long before SciTech began to offer products like remote viewing training, self-help books, gear, meditation tools, and mind technologies, all available for purchase on their website. Dane even started his own online TRV university, which featured a host of courses training its students on remote viewing, and even had its very own virtual campus as far back as 2003. But perhaps the most ambitious question Dane tried to answer with SciTech was literally, what happens after you die? In 2003, he assigned the SciTech Special Operations Team, a team of skilled technical remote viewers, to Project Afterlife, an endeavor to answer the ultimate question. An endeavor that, according to SciTech, was ultimately successful. Unfortunately for us, though, that answer was locked behind a paywall on a page only accessible with the Wayback Machine and is thus lost to time. So Dane scoops up SciTech and does what he does best, and it seems like everything went off without a hitch. But there was a hitch. The troubles began with SciTech before Spotts even arrived. Really, they were kind of the reason he arrived. Before Spotts entered the picture, Ed Dames partnered with a man named Harry DeLeiter, who owned a video production studio called Light Productions that specialized in the production and distribution of many UFO and paranormal-related videos. Dames hired DeLeiter to make a series of instructional tapes on remote viewing to distribute to the public. But after production was completed, Dames took the tapes for himself and hired another person for distribution. He believed that he could make more money on the videos than he initially thought, so he decided to cut DeLeiter out to keep more of the profit for himself. DeLeiter took Dames to court, and Dames lost to the tune of $435,000. Because of this, Dames stepped down from his role as president of SciTech, and Spotts swooped in and bought up his shares and took over as chairman and CEO. In the spirit of virtually every miracle device sold in the 1990s, I have to say this. But wait, there's more! Part of Spotts' deal with Dames was a complete transfer of all the company's assets, including its intellectual property, which seems straightforward enough. That is until a former SciTech employee named F.M. Bonsall broke into Dames' ex-wife's house, whom he may have been having an affair with, stole a bunch of SciTech files, and allegedly handed them over to Dames. It's a pretty wild story, and Spotts thought so too. He sued Bonsall for the files in 2001, and when the case finally settled in 2002, Spotts walked away victorious, leaving Bonsall to hand over the files and pay damages of at least $11,900. So, then what? Did Dane go broke and give up on his mental mission to create a 21st century remote viewing, hyper-intelligent Jedi Order? Is Zygon, like this SuperMind computer, a defunct relic of the not-so-distant past? No chance. SciTech still exists today, and Dane is still at the head of it. They've since shifted their focus and are now operating as a research and consulting firm specializing in intelligence collection for individual, corporate, and government clients who are looking to solve problems outside of what conventional information can provide. They do still provide some personal remote viewing services and are now offering to train and manage a TRV team for you. And they even got hired to help find JonBenet Ramsey's killer using remote viewing. As for Zygon, it is back. Dane revived the project in 2020 at the start of the pandemic to bring Zygon's mind-expanding tech into your home, but this time without all the extra attachments. You can access the Zygon Mind tools right from your phone through their app. No need for bulky headphones, aquatic mammal cassettes, or blinding LED glasses.
Is that now we have the ability to reach any place on Earth in a matter of seconds. So you'll be able to take a course on your PC during the day, and then at night, use your phone to engage in a sleep program.
But the Mind Warrior's hero's journey started with a box of 11 behavioral mind script tapes ranging from permanent weight loss and attracting love relationships to reduce blood pressure / better health and mastering fears and anxiety. Honestly, it's all so weird that it's just so intriguing. Now I am ready to give SuperMind another shot. And in keeping with the true ethos of Zygon, I will begin by expanding my psychic powers. See you in the future.
I am surrounded by the white light of love. My mind is connected to the pure consciousness of the universe. I receive truth. I remove all barriers and blocks. I let go. I see. I heal. I am the source and center of all life. I am truth and love. My consciousness expands.